What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing? I am just peachy and happy to see all of your shining faces. Let's get some light in here. Aziz, light. Thank you, Aziz. All right. So, we got one viewer in here so far. I'm thinking that the alerts have not gone out yet. We'll see. We'll wait a moment. We'll wait just a moment here. So how is your day doing? Bionic Bigfoot says I'm not here today. That's the only comment I see so far. So just magical. Nancy B from Tennessee, how is it going? And Coro, good to see you. Linda Worth, good to see you. Playing WoW, right on. I haven't done that in so long. Man, I wish I had. I like that. I liked when I was into a game like that. I just don't have time anymore. But I used to that game. I was a Ultima Online player back in the day, like '97 through 2001. I had an account that I sold for I don't know a couple. What was it? Like $1,500 or something. I sold, and I remember it was yeah, just my mom lost her mind when she found out as a teenager I could sell my made up game account for actual money. Um, yeah. So how's everybody doing? I see folks are filtering on in. Skipper, what's going on, brother? Love the logo. I'm honored. Um, Tammy, what's going on? Welcome. I'm glad you like the Fifth Element as well. Craig's Catfish Cave, E Keeper 10, uh, Jim's P, Jimmy P, uh, and CP, hello. This guy, hello. Um, Taylor, hello. I feel like we got some new names in here, or people changed their screen name, and I just don't know what's happening. I'm just not perceptive. Um, so yeah, how's everybody doing today? I just want to hang out. If you guys have questions, I figured that it would be a good time to ask questions. If you want to ask any questions, that would be great. I feel like I haven't done that in a little while where I've just like given chat the attention completely and not had the subject that I'm trying to talk about. And if that slows down, then maybe we'll look at what is new on some of the sites to shop online for fish because all the newsletters and stuff go out on Fridays and Mondays, basically, sometimes Tuesdays. But places like Redfish Bluefish or Dan's Fish, Imperial Tropics, things like that. Sometimes there's some cool stuff to see. And it's kind of crazy that between that and a Twitter account that I was going to show you guys last time when we did the fish news exclusive episode, so to speak, um, it is, there's not really one place to go for new species and stuff. And so, like to see what has been found and all that. And so I think it's kind of cool uh, to have retailers that are so on the ball that they have species that don't even have Latin names yet. The hobby's ahead of the science as far as that goes. So yeah. And also, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Dr. Anthony Mazerall. His center has now opened for the aquarium down in the Amazon in Iquitos, Peru. And they put up a tour video of it today. I couldn't share it though, unfortunately, but they put up a video of it today, and it was really impressive for what they've done in the middle of the jungle, essentially, in a city that you have to either take like a barge or a plane to. You can't really drive to it. All right, so Matt James says, would Scarlet Baddis fish be good enough to get rid of planaria in a shrimp tank? So the thing is, they will, if you don't feed them other things, they will eat that. But the thing is, one, they don't love planaria. Not many fish do. There's a few loaches and pencilfish that really love planaria and will like actively hunt them, but most fish seem to not like them. I think they have some sort of like stinging agent or their stomach acid or something. Because the way they eat, they envelop things, and their stomach's in the center of their body, rather than at the end like a mouth, and then they just secrete juices, kind of like a Venus flytrap or a spider bite. Um, does through that straw thing. Well, they don't even have a straw thing. They just kind of like bleh on it like a fly, or a fly trap. And so, yeah, I think that whatever is in that, whether it's like a stomach acid type substance or what, that it tastes bad or stings or something, because a lot of fish like take a bite of it and then they spit them out. Especially if you take like a pipette and you knock them off like the glass or suck them up off the substrate or wherever they're at, and then let them float in the water, that's when generally fish will like have the instinct to go after them. And a lot of times with planaria, a lot of fish will hit it and then quit it. They'll just stop. Um, Whereas, yeah, Battis will eat them, and as we said, but the problem is they're going to eat all the baby shrimps too. So I'd be careful there. Ben, good to see you, buddy. It was nice to see you yesterday as well. Pastel Pepperoni, what's going on? Quinn, oh, welcome, Quinn. Come on without. Come on within. Will not see nothing like the mighty Quinn. That song was just playing on my radio. My radio? Who am I, Grandpa? Bonnie, welcome. Bambi, welcome. Sky Pro, Shady, Grady, what's going on? Let's see. Logan, hello. Lisa, hello. Uh, Ah, New to the live feed, but old news with the short video clips. Well, glad you're here, Lisa. Welcome. Jack, what's up? Any news on Silky? Yeah, Jack, unfortunately, no. The last few nights there's been, well, last night in particular, there was gunshots up the street, and there was a big police presence that responded, and the sirens going off for like an hour. I don't know if they were chasing someone or what exactly happened. It was in the like on the morning news though too. Um, but it was like about a half mile from our house, and there was the siren noise set off the coyotes in the area, and you could hear there was a group of at least half a dozen to a dozen coyotes. I mean, I've seen groups of them before, like small numbers, but this you could hear them cackling and chattering, and they were somewhere like a block or two away. I don't know where. But other people in the area have been reporting seeing like up to 6 or 7 at a time. And they get really, really bold when that happens, when they're already living off of trash and alley cats and stuff. Um, and so I don't know. I think it might be time to do something about the coyotes. I think they're running out of food. I've also noticed there are no bunnies left. And bunnies were all over the last 2 years. And so I think that let the coyote population grow, hiding under by like the freeway, like on ramps and stuff, like in the scruff and the scrub on the right of the way bushes, as well as in a couple parks. Quinn says, I have some giant hair grass growing in my 10-gallon, and for whatever reason, it always accumulates white, fluffy mold at the surface. Why would this be? So, what's going on there? It happens to me too with my hair grass, or any sort of really, really dense, like carpeting type situation. You can get critters like a mono shrimp that will do a really good job of sorting through that and so forth. Um, and basically, what it is the light and the heat and the current it gets stagnant in between those blades of grass. And so you got this kind of stagnant water that's nutrient rich because plants are also always trying to, through osmosis, suck in various nutrients both up in the plant and down in the roots. And so you got basically nutrients and light and warm water, as well as the plant itself kind of insulating things. And it just ends up being an algae, mold, or bacteria trap in between the blades of grass, both down at the base, but also in between the, like where you have a millimeter or two here and there. It's very common to see algae starting there, or little puff balls of white or black or blue bacteria, fungi, things like that. Really, the best option, other than trimming it and gravel vacuuming it, is to probably have a mono shrimp or even neocaridina shrimp, something like that. So somebody just said lava rock as a base layer for substrate instead of pea gravel. So I'm going to show you guys a sneak peek of something. I know I said I was going to get it done earlier, but life's gotten in the way. But maybe by tomorrow it'll be out. I don't want to promise that anymore. It could be another 2 days, but I've been working on illustrations, or is that the right term? Uh, but I've been working on, so you don't need to see what it says necessarily, but um, the tank. Let me show you the picture. The only picture that's going to matter. So people have been asking for months. Come on, are you kidding me? This phone looks so dirty on the live stream too. Why can't we see the phone? It's the background that's messing things up. Hold on, let's turn off the background. Settings. I know that I look real official here when I'm giving the news and everything. But okay, still going to be hard to see. Why is this being so difficult? Okay, well, what you're looking at here, even though you probably can't make out what is going on, is that is a Photoshop of layers of 6 different layers that you got, like the what, come on. You got the aqua soil, a sand cap that's all whited out. You got lava rock, then you got river rock, then you got sand again. So this is going to be the quote unquote lasagna tank that I've talked about very much in the last year. It's really the tank that I prefer the most if I'm going to do a long-term kind of nature-based planted tank. Um, I have my reasons in that they're all science-based. They're all backed by scientific research and papers. And while I could include everything in the kitchen sink into something like a layering system like that, um, I've done the things that have worked and nothing more. If I haven't seen it expressly work for some uh, use, then I'm not really adding it as a variable, if that makes sense. So like you could add peat, you could add coconut husk or fibers and things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I also don't know that it's 100% a good idea, because in nature you've got so much more space that adding all that biological material to your aquarium can be troubling if you don't have the bacteria, microfauna, microflora. And a new word that we're going to be using on the channel that I just really solidified in my vocabulary is myofauna. Myo coming from myopic, or being able to be seen with the eye. And so the idea of like scuds and small shrimp, so anything like an inch all the way down to the size of like a comma on 12-point font or something. That would be my myoscopic. life forms. So small, but not microscopic organisms or microorganisms. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that. But lava rock, yes. So the red lava rock, as long as it's not just dyed red, some is, and it's like it's just like red earth dye. You don't want that. It's just going to come out in your water. But if it's true red lava rock where the actual rock itself is red all the way through, or if it's that kind of like dark purple red, that stuff, or black lava rock without shiny metallic bits in it, without glassy bits in it. Those are my preferred favorite substrate builders. So I will take that stuff and I will put it in a filter media bag. I will put it in uh, uh, um, 2 liter bottle and drill holes in the side of the bottle. And it's just to hold the place of space for when I'm building up an aquascape. So if I'm building an aquascape that needs to be 9 inches tall in the back and have a slope that comes down to say 4 or 5 inches, well, then I can take, 2 inches, 3 inches of substrate and not have to pay for that being aqua soil, because aqua soil is expensive. And if I only need 2 inches of aqua soil, uh, I'll only use 2 inches of aqua soil. If you look at the very best aquascapes in the world, uh, the ones you see like on posters and online and Pinterest, and you've probably seen them on products and things. Um, they have very, very little. Where the plants are growing is usually not more than 2 inches of aquascape. The substrate's not super deep. Now, I like deeper than that, and I like that lava rock, in my opinion, is full of voids. It's light but rigid. It will retain a lot of weight, especially once water has inundated it. It kind of reinforces the structural integrity of the lava rock. And so you can still put quite a bit of weight onto it without it breaking. It may shift a little bit, but that's another reason why I like, you'll see in the video I'm working on, sand at the very base so it doesn't grind the rock into the glass at all and have a heavy point. But with that all being done that way, you can keep your substrate about 3.5 or 4 inches thick and have a long-term substrate that also the voids. So first, it's structural, then it's a filler, and that's serving the same time. Then there's voids within the rock, and there would be voids within any rock, but within lava rock, it has a ton of surface area. So any beneficial bacteria is going to also colonize that. So it's just like extra bags of filter media for free all around your tank, especially if you leave like the back corners a little untucked. So like you don't fill it with dirt all the way in the back. If you let water flow back there, or you put a pipe or two in the corner, like a PVC pipe you drill holes in, and that's touching the bag, then water can get down in there and flow. And it's actually like a plenum if it's, depending on the rate at which water is coming and going. And so that's why I like that, is it starts as a, oxygen rich aerobic bacteria surface area that it can help process nitrates. And then over time, it's going to break down and or collapse and or fill in with silt and mulm and stuff. And that is then going to become aerobic or anoxic. And that's when, or anaerobic rather, or anoxic. And that's where then it also has iron, magnesium, sulfur, and manganese and calcium are the main, as well as carbon, are the main elements in most lava rocks that are ultramafic like that. And igneous rocks that had that bubbling going on, they were liquid elements mixed in with metals and stone and stuff, and they harden back up, and bacteria can actually eat away at that, and that takes eons to be sure, but there is some exchange that can go on with some bacteria just within a single bacteria's lifetime. So that means within 48 hours or something. So yeah. Okay. Pastel pepperoni. Any tips for a low pH tank setup below 7? I'm using RODI filter, buffer substrate, botanicals, and salty shrimp to remineralize. I'm new to low pH. Am I missing anything? No, I think that's fine. You just watch for swings. You've got a buffer in there. Um, it may be good to pre-mix your water and then add it until you know for a fact that like the way you fill a bucket and whatever you're adding to each bucket or not adding, you know that it's okay for your tank, because shrimp, especially if that's what you're doing it for, especially like caridina, they are pretty touchy, and you don't want to throw in a 7.4 out of the tap water. And so with RODI, if you're just throwing an empty bucket of water that has nothing in it, like literally nothing in it floating around other than the waterness of the water, um, you get something that it comes out maybe at 7 or 7.2 or something like that, and then it could all drop all the way down, to really, really low. But you've got buffer, so it should be okay. I would just say maybe pre-mix it and make sure that it's good to go ahead of time. Um, Asha, hello. How are you doing? Um, Kalish, what's going on? Jeff Kane, what's going on? 186 Element, what's going on? Surf City Sticklets, what's up? Happy Tuesday to you as well, sir. Evergreen Psyche, did you see the short I made for you, Evergreen? I figured that's going to be one of my new things. If I have the time and someone asks a question that I've gotten before that I think is a good question, or that I need to go research, any of those kind of things, I'm going to try to make a short video response to that question, link that in to the comment, and then also it'll be up for everyone to see. And I'll shout you guys out, whoever asked the question, too, in the post. Andy, hello and welcome. You didn't miss that much. You're all right. Carrie, what's going on? Welcome. Glad you made it. And Branton, hello. Let's see here. Lucas D. Oh wait, I'm way behind. I'm way behind. Um, do 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 do. Stephen P. What's up? Boots and cats. Boots and cats. Boots and cats. Miss Plummer's tub. I like that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back again to the show that never ends. Come inside, come inside. Passing Wind, what's going on? Adam Miller, what's going on? Um, Dionysus. Oh, Dionysus. I'm sitting here looking at your name like I can't read. I'm like looking at it thinking, is it going to say dinosaur? Like you never know what to expect with online names, handles. Of course, it's a classical name. Vinoski, what's going on? Silver Creek. Um, what's going on? How's life? Gamer One, hello. We got lots of folks in here. I'm just looking for any questions. Right? Okay, we got another one. Um, do you know a trustworthy source where I can purchase clean levamisol HCl other than Fritz? Yeah, Fritz is expensive, and I have bought on eBay several times. Um, and honestly, the only reason I've had to buy more than once on eBay was because I lost the stuff, or I decided, oh man, this is like 8 years old. I'm gonna throw this batch out. Literally, you get a chunk, usually it's like couple ounces or something, or an ounce of it, and you have to be careful. You have to get like a micron scale or something, and digitally weigh it out. Yeah, down to the milligram. But I would say, yeah, you can pretty much trust eBay. It just find like good people with good ratings. That's key. Pastel Pepperoni, any good book recommendations for aquarium books? I have so many recommendations, but right now, I would recommend the Aquarist Journey. That's about the life of um, Roselle. No, uh, starts with an R. Anyways, it's about the life of a guy, 94 years old, who just passed away recently. His life as a fish keeper since he was a teenager, keeping it like very seriously and traveling the world and all that. Very interesting. Another one that's kind of fun is Dragon Behind the Glass. If you just want to read about a fish related story, that's about the black market fish economics and the world of black market um, fish keeping arowanas specifically, and like $100,000 fish and stuff. So those are interesting books, but if you want one on like the aquarium as a whole, um, I think there are, the Ecology of the Planet tank is probably the gold standard. Some of it's been a little outdated now, or updated, I should say, just because science is always evolving. Um, and also technology and products are too. So there's certain things that used to be the way you had to do it. And if you read books that are too old, you might find some little nugget of old information that is great that like people aren't really paying attention to, but you also might use some piece of information that you didn't need to because there's an easier solution now. So there's a kind of a double-edged sword with that. As much as I do love going back and reading stuff that's 20, 30, 40, 100 years old. So um, yeah. Also, I think it helps looking at biotopes. I like Ivan Mikolji's book, and then also George Farmer is releasing a book that I helped him write about some of the American species in that I think should be out anytime now, if it's not already. Um, but it goes into detail like what a balanced ecology looks like, in the sense of you've got your plants, if you have plants there, or your wood and stone environment, and then you've got your algae and your microflora and fauna, and then you've got your bottom or benthic dwelling fish, your midwater fish, and your pelagic, um, deeper deeper but open water fish, and then your top water fish. So yeah, it's you can learn a lot from looking at biotopes too, if you're astute. Victory Garden, okay, not Victoria. Okay, Victory, like World War II gardens for food. Victory Garden. How many gallons do you think I'd need to provide an income with assorted Neo shrimp? All the shrimp guys I see have houses completely full. Uh, but they scaled completely already. Yeah, you need a lot to make money. If you want, I mean, nowadays, if you're going to sell wholesale, you can probably only do that with Neocaridina, maybe crystals, maybe tiger shrimp or something like that. The problem is overseas has just got us beat. There's someone who's willing to do it overseas that has free heat in the tropics, free clear water creeks right outside their house or whatever, and is willing to go collect or do it, or have tanks, and things are less expensive in certain places. Um, and labor is much less expensive. But if you want to do that niche hobby, American hobbyist, American grown shrimp kind of thing, I would say, you could maybe get realistically, $5 to $7 a shrimp would be like the absolute max. And most people are more in the $5 range now if you have a good quality line. So is it worth it, all the investment and say 5 months of shrimp to get to that $5 mark? Is it worth it without having a lot? I mean, I have that little 2.5 gallon tank in the other room that I've shown multiple times. I've done little shorts and videos on it. And when I built it, I did a video on it for Aquatic Arts, and it is 2.5 gallons. And I've bred out of that in the last year. I was able to get 175 adult shrimp out of that. Now, that's because I'm able to take care of it and pay attention to it really easily when they're all together that close in a tank like that. But I have no filter, no heater, just a light and aqua soil and that tank, and food, obviously. So Passing Wind says, I like to make terraces like Incas did when have a raked background. Yeah, the terraces are a great way to build up your aquascape, definitely. And lava rock is also not going to be exposed to the fish. Ideally, you're going to put either a finer rock or your aqua soil over that. It's when the aqua soil breaks down into silt, it'll fall down into the cracks and crevices of the lava rock. So basically, in my favorite way of doing the lasagna tank is to go bottom layer sand, just like half an inch or less. And that's just to cushion from the rock. And also it gives a layer for a bacteria sometimes to kind of coat the very bottom of everything. Um, don't know why. I just like that. Gives me a peace of mind, like a baseline. And then I like to do above that the lava rock or even bigger rocks. So if I'm really blocking out space, I may put a big chunk of rock in. But usually I withhold those for, unless it's a centerpiece stone or something that I'm really building the whole aquascape around, I'm gonna use those chunks above the aquascape, keep the price and the weight down in the tank, and just buy 4.99 for a big old, wheelbarrow bag full, half a cubic yard of red lava rock or black lava rock. And then I will do about 2 or 3 inches of aqua soil, and I like to do 50% ADA ammonia, Amazonia. I might as well call it ADA ammonia, because it does have ammonia in it. So that's one that you need to let cycle for a couple weeks before you're going to put any fish or shrimp in. But you can just use flue ball stratum or any of the ones that don't have ammonia, nitrates, and nitrites in them. But they're not going to have as much bang for your buck for your plants down the road. That's also the layer I put the root tabs in. It's a layer that in between that, at the bottom of the soil layer and the top of the rock layer, in those crevices I was talking about, that's also where I like to add wood ash or pot ash. I like to add biochar or charcoal, and I like to add a little bit of crushed coral. All those for the chemistry of the tank and also for the bacterial uh, elements of the substrate. Then above that, if it's an active substrate that has an active aqua soil with ammonia and nitrites, I will put sand cap over it, a sand cap of about an inch, maybe even 2 inches in some spots. But right there, you've got like maybe 6 inches of substrate. So that's pretty hefty. More ideally, I would do 2 inches of the aqua soil, an inch and a half or an inch of the rock, and the bottom layer of the sand. So you're really talking about more like 4 inches of substrate total that's needed if you don't add sand on top of the aqua soil. You don't need the sand on top of the aqua soil. Um, so yeah, let's see here. All right, I'm gonna jump to the current stream right now because I feel like when I get too far behind in chat, certain people who ask questions already left, and I want to be contemporary. Um, um, can I use a big piece of coarse sponge as the bottom layer to act as a plenum, then layer active substrate? Yeah, you can kind of do that. Yeah. Um, you A plenum is able to move a little more freely. You're almost with a sponge replicating like a bedrock where it's moving through, but even bacteria might get trapped chamber to chamber. What the impact is of that, I don't quite know. I don't think it's necessarily bad though. So I think you could definitely give it a go. I've definitely cut up sponges and used them in aquascapes before. Use cigarette butts and cyanoacrylate, and that for some reason the whatever terrible thing they make the filter on a cigarette with, when you hit it with super glue, if you pull it apart first, it locks it like rock hard. And so that's been a trick in aquascaping for 35 years or something like that. I mean, since Amano, since before just Amano. Spinster Sister, hello. I have a trio of Inca Epistos and one female copper Imbolus. Love them. How many rummy nose rasboras can I add to a 20-gallon long? Hmm. Well, the fact that you've got a trio of Incas, Inca Banshee or Inca 50 Epistos, the fact that you've got a trio of those already in a 20-gallon long, and you've got uh, a betta that are getting along, they're going to need to be on complete opposite ends of the tank when those um, Epistos spawn. The Epistos are going to need about a foot uh radius, or well, a foot, what's the word, circumference, no, diameter. They're going to need 6 inches buffer all around their nesting site. And yeah, but rummy nose rasboras, they're a longer fish for a nano fish. They're a little fidgety, but they do like somewhat soft water. um Rummy nose tetras might actually be a better idea, but I do know that rummy nose rasboras are really beautiful, and I totally get why Sabua resplendens are the one you want. But I would say, I mean, with those, you want to do like 2 to 1 female to male, ideally, or I mean, anything over 1 to 1 is good. If you got a little more female than male, because then they'll kind of stick within their species. But you may see that the Epistos and even the betta kind of pick at them, uh, because there's just not that much room to school in a 20 long, really. But I think you could probably try it out. Maybe put 7 or 8 of them in there, 9 of them in there max, with what you've got. It's just they don't have much room to like school and go side to side because they're gonna have a whole like half of that 20 long that is the pistos are gonna say is mine if they start nesting. And then you've got your betta, the odd one out of the other epistos, and all those other fish stuck in like a 5 or 10 gallon space, depending on how aggressive they are about nesting. TFI Aquatics, did you hear about the Egyptians renovating the pyramids with granite? No. I mean, I know that some pieces have been replaced with granite. Original pyramids are all sandstone, a harder sandstone, and then the outside was a marble, they believe, and then nobody knows for sure what the capstone was, but they think it was some sort of gold plated something. But no, I don't know anything about that active project right now, if that's what's going on. But I mean, it would make sense in that we can cut granite, move granite. It's cheap, and the sandstone that was harvested, where they got it, is an active site archaeologically. With the background and that stuff, I can tell you how crazy the archaeological survey department is going to be at the local university and government agency when they say, "Oh, we just want a few more blocks of the same sandstone." And in that quarry where they made the Great Pyramid and Khufu's and the Gizan pyramids, the three main Gizan pyramids, um, they actually found the quarries, and you can see where they were like burning fires to crack the rock, pouring water in or wood in. One really cool thing that they would do, and they actually found pieces wedged in still, was they would take timber of wood that is not super hardwood, it's like softer wood, and they would wedge that into a crack that they chipped away with copper um, chisels, and those things get dull quickly, but sandstone's not that hard. And then what they would do is they would put that in there, the piece of wood, like, and when I say a piece, I might mean like a log that's like yay big around, and they'll put that in there. And then what they would do is they would start a fire underneath an overhang. And this is a block that's like 30 feet by 10 feet, like a huge, massive block. And then from above, they would pour water into the wood. They would inundate the block with water. And then the heat from the fire can crack even granite, and hard rocks can get slabs off. And same with the wood swelling from water. Now, in other places, it freezes, and they can use ice to also break off chunks and wait for the cold season. It's pretty amazing what we have evidence of just from the quarries being left there. Um, I have not read the new version of Diane Wallstead's book, actually. I should do so. In fact, I was not aware that there was a newer version than the 2004 one or whatever. But I'll have to check it out, Dionysus. Thank you. Whitney, trying to find a way to reduce substrate use, just layering the bottom with sponge. Yeah, I mean, you don't need even a sponge. You can just use aqua soil. I mean, there's no crime in just using like fluval stratum. You could just use like an inch of it and call it a day. If you want to do that, that's what a lot of aquascapers do. It's just only going to last you a year or two, probably. Is there a downside to feeding live mosquitoes? Artie, yeah, they can get out in your house and hatch. That would be bad. And that happens in the fish room from time to time. But um, that's really it. I mean, there are some parasites they can carry that are kind of weird, but they're not too common. I wouldn't sweat it. They can sometimes hurt little fish larvae, so that's another thing to be aware of. But yeah, fishery. What? Oh, what's your favorite publication? Amazonas, or should I be looking somewhere else? Yeah, Amazonas is great. A lot of good people: Tom Barr, Gary Lang, Stephen Waldron at Aquarium Zen. I mean, there's Rachel O'Leary. A lot of people have been editors and contributors to that place, to that institution, that are very reputable and intelligent people. I think that's definitely one that I like reading. Now, I also like reading anything out of Europe a lot of times too. Kenny, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you, bud. Uh, a storm. Oh, Storm Rider's Legacy. What's up? Um, Skitty Nona, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, Stephen P. That's a good point about those rummy nose reservoirs. They are pretty shy. They definitely are. Rocky and Miles says adorable photo, by the way. But I have a fairly old 20 long with wood looking rim and stand. I found a small chip in the front corner. It seems only to be on the outside. Should I be worried? No water yet. Fill it up with water and see. Um, yeah, if it's just a little chip, it may not be a problem. I mean, it's also up to you. Do you have a basement floor that's like concrete? Then go for it. If you've got, shag furniture or a shag carpet made from like, I don't know, rare chinchilla fur or something, then maybe skip it. Um, but yeah. Lucas D. Could I cap a layer of lava rock, or would it be better to have an additional layer of sand on top of the lava rock for a densely planted 75? Wait, could I cap a dirt layer with lava? No. So you don't want to really I mean, you could do that. It would just be surface area for bacteria to grow on, but it's sharp, and plants don't particularly want to grow on that, like as their primary holding on. But I would say don't use it, and it's not going to seal anything. It's not dense enough to be a cap without a whole lot of it. You need like a foot of lava rock to seal it off. So really, it's just if you're doing a filterless tank or a tank that's super low tech, where you're not running air stones or a filter, that's where maybe using it up in the water column a lot more makes even more sense. But I think a dirt cap over it works best because the dirt and the silt and the mulm and detritus, it'll all fall and work its way down. What's important is that you have a team of, whether it's a mono shrimp, neorites, and catfish, or whether it's scuds and um, autosynclus and I don't know, mystery snails, whatever it is, that you've got a cleanup crew that's kind of breaking down what the last group of animals pooed out, and help turn that into, like, just like you would with worm castings, but turn that into a rich aqua soil. Yes, definitely passing when people don't realize, yeah, the pyramids, they stole building material from the pyramids. I mean, what's crazy is, think about this. Right now, we are closer to the time when Jesus was alive than Jesus was to the Egyptians who built the pyramid by about 500 years, 428, whatever. Pretty crazy. Uh, oh, right on. Glad to hear, Spinster Sister, that the fish are getting along. Right on. I got my first buried red cherry shrimp today. How soon should I expect shrimp babies? Probably 4 to 6 weeks, depending on temperature of the water. Usually like 5, 6 weeks if you're at 74 or 76. If you're getting a little warmer than that, sometimes they'll come sooner. If they're in their peak breeding months, they may come a little quicker, but that's kind of usually what to expect. It's basically when they need to molt next, is how they've evolved. That's when that'll happen. Uh, do, 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 do. My low pH is set up for wild betta, specifically betta cochina. Thinking maybe betta hendra. Any tips for for wild betta keeping? Just be careful about jumping. They actually are pretty chill usually, other than like macrostoma and really, that's the one that I've had problems with, where they've killed, like, mates and stuff. But honestly, most of the other ones I've kept, which is about a dozen or so, I haven't had trouble keeping them in pairs or a group of females and a group of males or what it just the wild ones are nowhere near as aggressive, generally speaking. Now they still may be territorial, they still may be a bit nippy. The giant bettas are a little bit that way, where they'll nip at each other. Um, Joe MTL, welcome. Do cherry shrimp release scents when they are stressed? I took one shrimp and then a few days later placed it back in the same aquarium. Now I find they're always like, it's actually a great question. They probably do, um, but I don't know if it works quite like that. But yeah, if one shrimp is stressed because you're prodding at it or you moved a pregnant shrimp, for instance, but they release what's called cortisols into the water and general cortisols, which can be released by any number of organism, including ourselves, but we don't release it into our environment much. It can then cause a flood of like epinephrine and adrenaline and the fight or flight kind of reflex. It also can weaken their immune systems. Do, Snail leeches, how bad are they for shrimp? Um, I don't know. Um, what's worse are those little scutellarias, the little white leeches you'll see sometimes. They look like crystals on the snout of a shrimp. They'll slowly just drag it down in its immune system. Unfortunately, um, but you can get rid of them with salt, which is pretty easy. A quick salt dip. Just went to service a school and noticed they had a fish tank, 20-gallon, and have two giant goldfish can climb puke gravel. How do I tell them they are doing it wrong? You know, I would approach it like this if you really do want to say something, because I've done it. I've actually said it before, which is, I think the bright colors and stuff are fine. I don't harp on that, but um, I say, if this is to teach kids and be a soothing device, like a relaxing, meditative, educational piece of the classroom, reflecting an ecosystem could be a really cool way to incorporate it so that you can teach the kids about more than just responsibility of feeding a goldfish or who gets to feed the goldfish or whatever, but also trimming the plants and also dealing with the XYZ with the shrimp or with snails. So maybe just passing it off as like a learning opportunity that you'd love to see the kids having. And then if they ask for your assistance, don't give them any options like glowfish or clown puke gravel. That's what I would say. uh, Vincent, welcome. First live stream, huh? Well, welcome. Uh, love your tagline as a history nut. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. So, what's the secret history in your aquarium? I do not know about your aquarium, but I do have several videos about the early history of the aquarium. There's one on angelfish I recently did on the first people to breed angelfish, an hour long talk. I've done one on the first betta keepers. It's over an hour long. First shrimp to be domesticated, and then where all our current domesticated lines essentially come from. So if you like that kind of history, the videos are out there on the channel, and they're oftentimes you could search deep dives and find them in that kind of wording. L fish tanks, starting a breeding process with my Equus cories. Oh, right on. Those are beautiful. Have stopped water changes and top offs. To what extent should I slow the feeding? Um, Honestly, you don't need to slow the feeding until, well, it's a little hard to say because some people do slow the feeding and then they kick it back up to high protein and even try to separate the males and females for like 2 weeks before you're going to do the big water change. Um, I've had best luck by feeding them high protein for 2 or 3 weeks before I'm going to try to spawn them, just because making eggs takes a lot of energy. And yeah, I think that makes sense. Um, but there are different theories from different people on, well, you want to get them really hungry, or you want them to think that they're going to starve because so it's just like the dry season in the real world. But to me, it's like it may help get a really tricky fish to spawn. But if we know that others have spawned them and it's not some insane process for all of those people, I think there's a pretty good chance that it's just overcomplicating it by prolonging that period and not just taking care of it. Um, have you ever had blackworm colony? Any tricks to multiply? I don't really have any tricks. I mean, just keep feeding them. Temperature, you know, one of those things where if it gets too hot, they can reproduce very quickly and overpopulate basically, and kind of crash. It smells terrible. And then if it's too cold, they won't produce at all. So it's one of those, find a happy middle. Fishery, can you cross Madagascar lace with other Ponegitans and turn their leaves into a lattice structure? I've not seen that. I have crossed other Aponegitans with each other, Ulvasis, Longipluviosus, to name a few that I've crossed. But yeah, I haven't seen that ever, and I feel like I would if it were easy or done so far. Clinton Ford, all right. If money were no object and anything was possible for just one video, what kind of a video would you shoot? Interview? Okay, wow. What I would love to do is go all the way to the source in the Amazon or wherever, Thailand, where you name it. Go and see the fish in their wild habitats. Talk about the fisheries, how sustainable the runs are, how rich or poor the people are, their cultural affiliations with the river and with the fish, and if they know the fish culturally and what its role is, or if they eat it, or if they appreciate it for the aquarium, whatever it may be, that story. And then I'd love to show them selling it to the exporter that's paying them pennies, literally less than pennies per fish, sometimes like few fish for a penny, and then that person transshipping it or exporting it out of the country, getting to the next person. uh, you could do a little montage of it sitting on the back of a plane and sitting in a truck, but basically showing the route that fish go to get to your house. And then the life cycle kind of like, no, they're having babies because the tank was taken care of well. Like almost like a story like that, I would absolutely love. There's so many things I would love to do though if I had more money. I mean, one of the things would just be build like a self-standing fish room and have more species to show you guys, to be more involved in all of that. Get a better camera, to get a better laptop, pay off the medical bills I have. There's just a lot of things I'd do. Um, that right now money is a bit of a constraint, but we're working with what we got, guys, and I'm very happy. Um, hey, thank you so much, Jack Barlow. Take care, buddy. See you guys at the next one. Well, thank you very much, buddy. It's very kind of you. I never expect such contributions, but I won't deny it. I will not deny you. Would you rather have one arowana size betta or 100 betta size arowanas? Would you rather fight? I would rather. I want the betta size arowanas, man. That would be awesome. Little arowanas that only get this big. Yes, please sign me up. I don't care. I'll fight them all. I'll fight all of them in the world. Um, Mike, I'm not sure. I'll have to look up that specific one. I've not heard that red tiger lotus releases a chemical, but it wouldn't surprise me. There is so much allelopathy going on in the world that we don't know about or that's only documented in passing. And it's like, why are people not telling us about this? Just like duckweed and Val and Crips, there's a lot of weird interactions that go on between those groups. Um, yeah. Would you keep a large tank with a few species of larger cichlids? If so, what kinds apart from pygmy? Oh yeah, I would love to have earth-eating cichlids, like big old hump cichlids and um, lepisomas and uh, you know, interesting big fish with like some of the larger plecos, some of the uh, like wood cats maybe or Raphael cats or even just like an African tetra tank with some of the bigger tetras that are like yay big. And like the Congo tetra and the lamp eyes and some of the Tropheus and stuff. Yeah. Oh man, I'd love to keep a beautiful big fish tank. I you just My biggest tank's only 65 gallons, so um do you know if different species of Boraris could crossbreed, such as Boraris Samoides and Boraris brigitae? I've never gotten them to. I suspect that they would like genetically be compatible. I just don't know what it takes to get them to spawn. You know, I would suspect that the Phoenix and the chili might, and the exclamation point and the strawberry might, but I don't know for sure. That's a good question. We'll have to find out. If I find out, I'll let y'all know. Durf Sun, holy smokes, another $10. Thank you so kindly. I appreciate that. So kind of you. Uh, Thank you, buddy. Seriously. Yes. If you break a blackworm in half, it will grow back into a normal worm and you'll have two worms. Yeah, it's like nematodes and compartmental worms definitely do that. Oh, wait, Mike, are you saying Boost plant has Madagascar ovasis sold out? Seems there are more varieties of Madagascar lace plant. There's a ton of Aponegitans. I didn't know that there's. Hold on. Let me look here real quick. Um, Madagascar base plant hybrids. Um, well, apparently there are morphs of it that are like malformed shape of the lace. Um, but I'm not seeing anything on. Let's see here. This looks different. What is this one? Yeah, I don't know. I everything I've seen is Aponigeton madagascarensis. There's like thin and broadleaf. Um, but I've not seen that crossed. Yeah, I'm not seeing it for sale online either. I mean, obviously there are lots of other Aponegetons though. Though, and some are crossed. I've crossed them. You've seen me cross them on my channel if you've been around about 3 years when I was doing that. Um, 2-foot chopsticks. I recently bought 4 tiger lotus bulbs from a seller and they all failed. How? They could just be rotten. They could have gotten mildew, unfortunately. Yeah, that is a bummer. I'd ask them if you could get some new ones. Uh, yeah, Aquarium Co-op, they do a good job if you did get it from there. Usually, Dustin's or Aquatic Arts, people like that, they do a pretty good job. Would you recommend some tank mates for Bolivian rams in a 60-gallon tank? Yeah, pencilfish, pencilfish, pencilfish. They'll hang out at the top. Hatchet fish are great too. But I think pencilfish are beautiful and underrated fish. Headstanders, drape fin barbs. Um, I'd stay away from most barbs because they get a little aggressive. But cherry barbs would work, or gold barbs. But anything else probably gets a little too aggressive in the barb group. Tiger barbs can work too. Um, any sort of tetra is great. I think like an orange eye or red eye Bolivian tetra does a killer job just glowing in the tank. Any of the Harold Schultz Hypersobricon, um, the cherry red or crystal red tetras, awesome, awesome fish. Beautiful colors. And also, there's other oddball fish out there, but corridors are a good one too. They tend to know when the rams are spawning and stuff and leave them alone. Farawallas, like weird catfish, twig catfish, lizard catfish, all those are super super fun. Um, my fancy swords. Oh, Jeff. Okay, never mind. Aaron Estes says, I kept pencilfish with my spawning pair of Bolivian rams and got fry surviving. Missed them. Yeah. Um, I like that. Okay. This is a fun one. Panther 305. Um, you have a 125-gallon tank with clown loaches. Well, I mean, it depends. Do you want to plan for the short term or the long term? If you have 9 clown loaches, you need a bigger tank already. Um, if you're just gonna keep them a little while and then rehome them or whatever, if we're just pretending that they're that size and that's it, I would say, like, why not something like a peacock eel or a fire eel or a tire track eel? Something like that that's a little more aggressive and interesting, will hold its own, but also kind of moves around on its own. Um, Something like Celsius or any of the like quicker, larger denison barbs and things like that you could do, or the larger hill stream trouts type stuff. Um, you could do probably like green and blue terrors, electric. Or actually, you could probably do like earth eaters or some sort of acaras in there too. Honestly, pretty much they're gonna hold their own. They're gonna mostly hold it down at the bottom, but they just get big. They're those things can get up to like 2 feet, maybe 3 feet even, but they can get up to like 2 feet, and you have 9 of them already. So I don't know, but I think you can pretty much do what you want in that tank. Um, yeah, the loaches aren't. I mean, when you're talking about those, they're not too. Clown loaches aren't too aggressive when it comes to actually eating stuff. So yeah, just make sure the denison barbs are farm raised. Yeah, most are coming from Indo. Would a toothpick fish be able to self-sustain in a mature aquarium? Yes. You might need to have that tank running for a couple months with scuds or seed shrimp or whatever it is that is going to be their main food source, daphnia, algae, and then keep feeding the algae or keep a lot of light on so that algae keeps getting made, etc. But it is doable. You probably would just need a little bit bigger tank than you'd expect. So maybe like a 20-gallon or a 29-gallon for a few little toothpick fish, because they'll eat a lot of those little buggers quickly. Um, all right, I'm gonna do one more question and then I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. But Coro wants to know, oh Coro, what's your favorite people? What's your favorite people? Oh, and fish food. Recently got some bristlenose pleco and it feels like a good excuse to cook more vegetables. Yeah, people and fish food. I like green beans, sauteed green beans. Ooh, tasty. Also, zucchini with a little bit of sesame oil. That's kind of a mess in your tank. But like the way that you saute it on a wok, like really, really hot. Um, Throw like zucchini, some onions, and some maybe cauliflower or broccoli. But they love French cut beans. Yeah. There are definitely eels you can keep in a 60-gallon. Yeah, peacock eel would be fine. The red peacock eel. Dan's Fish sells that. There's a link in the description. I don't know if he has any right this moment, but they do come in from time to time, and they are a really cool one. They've got kind of a small mouth, so they don't do too much damage, but they are a little feisty when they feed. Like they're gonna need bloodworms, so they're a little higher maintenance than your average bear. But and by bear I mean eel. Uh, Also, I would say probably tire track and maybe even a fire eel you could do in there, if you did it right. Probably want a bigger tank, ideally for those ones though. Um, and then you got all your pseudo eels, like uh, you know, your coolie loaches and all the different varieties they come in. which is kind of fun. There are some incredible tiger moray eels that are freshwater completely at Moonlight Aquatics in Seattle. And I took some pictures, but I want to take some video and share with you guys some of the crazy stuff he's been bringing in at Moonlight Aquatics. He's just got different sources than everyone else on the West Coast that sells fish pretty much, because he's got family back in China, I believe, that he's got ties to that have different fish wholesalers and stuff, I think. Um, anyways, guys, I'm winding it down. My wife's home, and we'll do this again. Um, yeah, that's true. You could also do, rope fish or something like that too. Um, all right, guys, I am gonna get out of here, but thank you so much for coming and hanging out and asking questions and chilling. Um, I will hopefully have a new video about the lasagna substrate. It's kind of a deep substrate, I guess would be the term. Still kind of figuring out what I want to call it, but it is involving, it's setting yourself up for long-term tank success in a planted tank where you want to be able to transition it to aerobic filtration, just like everyone does, for the most part, then switch it over to the substrate being able to process anoxic uh, types of filtration, and then the plants utilizing all of that sequestered energy. Um, all right, guys, have a wonderful night. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for the support, love, affection, kindness, being kind to each other. Y'all rock. And I will see you Friday or perhaps sooner. Uh, take care. Viva Las Lasagna. And I'll talk to you later. Bright light city, gonna set my soul. You're gonna set my soul on fire. Viva